Hey, it's Vaughan. Welcome back. Now, this is myth number 2. What we're going to do today is destroy and crush and put to smithereens myth number 2, which is that you need funding first before your idea can see the light of day. And man, do people get this backwards, and there's so much confusion out there about, God, I've got to get money before I can begin. Now, in the first video, what we really went through was we destroyed the entire myth about the fact that you need a budget before you begin. And we talked about going out and getting money off your own back and your own little hustle to go and see if the market accepts the idea. Because a lot of people think that they need the funding to get their idea off the ground. That's just not true. So by the end of this video, we're going to help you apply the Airbnb model to the 6 stages of funding that the perfect idea will go through from inception right up to an initial public offering on the stock exchange. So stay tuned. Now, first, we have to begin. Why do you think you need to get funding first? Where does it come from? Where it comes from is security. What people who say that really think is they're trying to apply a job model to a business model. And it will never work. The two cannot cross-pollinate, not even possibly. That really the underlying tone is that, look, I need to get money so that way I'm covered if my idea doesn't work. I can make sure my expenses are good, my lifestyle doesn't take a dip, and my wife or my partner or my friends and family don't think I'm that crazy for pursuing my idea because now I've quit my job. That's really what drives a lot of this behavior. Really, come on guys, we don't need the security. Security is an inside thing. If we really are going out there in the marketplace and we're serving and we're out there making a difference and we're asking people for the sale, of course, and we're being good business leaders, well, you're going to be on the right path. And funding is a natural progression of a good idea. It's not the thing you need to start with, though. I don't believe. So we're going to look at the 6 stages coming up in a moment. But we need to get one thing straight, and that is the business attraction model. You see, it's very unattractive for investors to look at you and see you, oh, you have a whole bunch of financing behind you and your idea is not really working. Oh, and you want more money. Okay, so what that looks like is a getting mindset, which is the job mentality, right? Like I turn up, you give me money for the time I work, I won't put any more time in unless I get paid. In the investor world, in the idea world, in the venture capital world where they're going to give money to your idea, you need to have a giving mindset. You need to be coming from a place of giving value and bringing more to the market, and how can you be better, and what is your distinctive point of difference, but how are you going to make that an impact for the world? That's really the mindset. So we've got to get that straight. The business attraction model, you will attract investors by having this mindset. And in the interim, it may be a little scary for you. It might be a little hard to come from a job or to come from maybe a small business to a new idea and to have this type of thinking, but it does work. It's based upon natural law and not scarcity thinking. But let's examine the 6 stages of funding first, and then we're going to look at the Airbnb story to help you understand the model and how it can work for you as well. Now, when we look at the 6 stages of funding, the very first one is called seed funding. Seed funding is your idea. It's a seed. Like a little seed, you're going to nurture it, water it, plant it in fertile soil and tend to it every day and go get the money, right? Seed funding or seed capital really refers to what you do off your own back. So you could have 2 jobs, maybe even 3. That's sometimes common. You've used all your savings, you're using credit cards, maybe you've even dipped into your personal retirement fund. You've done everything you can. You've maybe sold cars. You've got like 2 pairs of shorts left. Like whatever that may be for you, that seed capital is like you exhaust absolutely every possible thing in the bootstrapping phase. And it's a very common phase. This is pretty much where you might be right now. It's like you're starting out, you don't know quite where you sit, but you're going out in the market, seeing who will buy your product, and now people are buying it, and so you're going to now add more capital yourself to really build and breathe a bit more life or a bit more oxygen onto the flame, and really fan it and hope it really takes off so you can access more capital. And so let's say your idea is now coming up, and it will. It's coming up. The next thing you go to is the friends and family round, the F&F round. And this is where you say, hey mom, hey dad, I see you got to spare like 10 grand there. Can I have it? I'll give you some stock or some equity in my, my company. That's doing really well. Well, it will do well. And, you get your friends and family around and you basically pitch them and offer them a ground floor opportunity, if you will. And, Jack Ma, who founded Alibaba, is one of the richest men in China now. Well, you couldn't believe this, but in the early 90s, he sat his friends and family around in this round and offered them a chance to buy into his dream. He said the internet, it's going to revolutionize the way people shop, and I have this big idea that I'm going to be able to sell what we manufacture in China to the world at the cheapest prices, essentially. And they said, no, you are crazy. We're not doing this. Why would you quit your job? It's a very well-known story. Well, richest man in China, you can see how they might feel about that now. So you're not necessarily crazy going in your idea, and people in this round say no, that's okay. Because maybe you can go to the next round if you have already exhausted that and you've got a few investors and most have said no, but you've got a bit of money and now you've seed capital, you've got your friends and family money, you're running out though, what do you do next? You know you're making sales, but you need more to boost the sales. You then go to the angel financing round or angel investors. Now who are angel investors? They're not literally money gods from the sky. These are like wealthy individuals in your town or city who have money sitting around that they don't know what to do with. They don't want to put in stocks, they don't really want to do that. They want to invest into a business or your idea. So who would do this? Well, for example, chiropractic practitioners or doctors, real estate agents, business people around town. You'd be surprised how open they are to these new ideas. In fact, it's created such a sensation in the USA. It's like almost like a giant bubble. It's like people used to think that if you got financing, your idea would be the next big thing. Now there's so many angel investors that like any ideas will virtually get financed. It's actually not that difficult, believe it or not. So your idea can definitely get financing that way. But like I said, we want to go through this sort of cycle first to prove it out. So when we do go in front of people, that not only are we coming from a giving place, but we actually have an idea that's starting to get ground and traction. So when it's successful, you are successful and people look at you and go, wow, you knew what you were talking about. It wasn't just some weird idea that you went and approached some rich people and they gave you a bunch of money and then you didn't know what to do and you lost it all, right? Like we're taking it through a certain stage. Now, once that's happened, the next logical step, the next thing to do is called venture financing. Venture financing is often referred to as Series A, Series B, Series C, letter of the alphabet all the way down, financing. So your idea is working. By this stage, you have a product and a service, and it is actually generally generating revenue, or there is a user base, or there's people there that say this is good. There's something solid. It's not just a concept anymore. And maybe you go to a private firm and get this money, or a conglomerate or a group or a syndicate, but they will give you X amount in exchange for equity of the company or stock. Now, in the friends and family round, or in the angel investing or financing rounds, you may have also given them what's called a convertible note, meaning that when you go to this level, that money now becomes equity or stock in the company at a certain rate or a certain level or a certain valuation. And so in this round, you pretty much create a valuation for your company or your idea now. And that's what's so big on shows like Shark Tank. And everyone's talking about what's the valuation of your company. Don't get that wrong, of course. I mean, there's so many arguments on that one, but let's not worry too much about the valuations at the moment. When it comes to this round, what you're essentially considering is, where is the company going? Are you positioning for a buyout? Is there going to be like a strategic alliance? Is there going to be a management buyout? What's going to happen here? Are you going on the stock exchange? This is the sort of area you start to think really seriously about this, because those rounds, ideally your Series A is, you get $100,000 as an example, and then Series B gets $200,000, $300,000, or $400,000 more. Series C might get $1 million. So now you've almost got $2 million worth of funding, or $1.5 million. And you can see it goes up and up and up. And the price of the company, the valuation of the company is going up. The stocks that got in on the Series A or your friends and family are worth way more now. And the returns can be enormous if it's the right company. And that is the goal for most people, is they're wanting to get that venture financing money and they want to get those Series A. And most of the time, the real problem, in my opinion, in the economy is that people are creating ideas that aren't really based on giving or the business attraction model. They're not really placed on adding value to the world. They're just trying to get the series of funding to give them money so that they can just sell out to a company. And it's really causing a bit of a glut in the tech marketplace. So I want you to come from a service place. I want you to have an idea that really counts, that your heart's in it, your soul's in it, you really want to work with it. And if it doesn't work out, you go back to the drawing board and try again. But you have that mentality. It's not just to get a buyout at the end of the day and then just sit on a beach. You actually want to contribute to the world. Now, once you've sort of gone to this part, the venture financing typically is quite a big one because it also brings in strategic partners. So there might be someone in a different company that you bring them in, you give them a certain amount of stock or shares or equity, and you give them a salary, and maybe you start to get a board together. or that technical person has a skill or an expertise that's above everyone else that will really catapult your business. So you're starting to get strategic employees or strategic positions within the company now. Because if you've decided, you know what, we're going to take this company public, we're setting for growth, then fifth stage, the next one down is, or up depending on how you're looking at it, is mezzanine financing or bridge loans. So this covers you for like a 6 to 12 month period without really having to go out and raise more capital to position you to get onto the stock market. And so a private equity firm might give you the money, and then what they will do is that they will go and they will position you for the stock market. You may pay them an interest or give them a share in the company, but they position you to get onto the stock market, into that next phase, or for that buyout if that's where it's going. Because the sixth one is an IPO, an initial public offering. And this is when you're on the stock market. Could be the NASDAQ in the USA, for example. And at this point, investment bankers come in and they say, you know, stock price will be this X. You have to sell this many at Y to make a price, or to raise this much capital Z. And then, you know, hopefully it goes live on the day and the money comes in and it goes up, up, up. And so very complicated mechanisms, but that's the 6 stages of financing. Now, why is this important? Because most people are trying to get the venture financing straight off the bat, as we just discussed. Don't really go for that. I'm not saying to not do it. Everyone's very unique and they're all a bit different, and it can work. It's not just about being positive and shooting for the sky. It's about building something of merit and something of worth and something that you're proud of and something that you really love. And it may take a little bit longer, but these phases can go really quickly. Let's examine Airbnb. Brian Chesky and Joe Geber, what they did is they took an idea that they didn't even really conceptualize. They didn't think we're going to, you know, make a huge company out of this idea. They just targeted the conference market, right? Their audience was the conference market in San Diego, I believe. And they sold like 3 airbeds on their floor. That was the company. Right? That's Airbnb, air bed and breakfast or air blow up mattress, right? And they sold them. And what they did is people came, they stayed on the floor, and they made little, Joe and that made little maps to give the guests and show them around town because they've never been there before. And they loved it. So the next year the guests wanted to stay there again. And they thought there might be something in this. So, you know, you can read their biography and get more detail on this. But the long and the short of it is that they created a website to target the conference market to sell their room and to start to try and sell rooms to it. You know, they went through a lot of hurdles. They went through the seed capital. They exhausted, they borrowed every single credit card they could in the seed capital round. They were maxing them out, trying to pay them off as quick as they could, maxing them out, 10 grand, 20 grand here, 20 grand there. Side note, they created a product they sold and made an extra 20 or 30 grand just to help fund them. So you can create another business on the side to fund your business, right? The sky is the limit in that sense. Then they got friends and family involved. They went through the angel financing. They went to Series A funding. They did all that. And of course, we all know Airbnb. But they didn't start out saying, I'm not going to go anywhere until I create a website where people will list their private islands and I get $10 million in my first valuation in my Series A financing of venture capital, which is stage 4. No, they didn't start out like that. So don't start out like that yourself. Come up with your idea. Test it to the market. Take it to an audience. They went to the conference market. It's now everywhere, right? So my point is, you don't need funding first. You need to go out into the marketplace with your idea and just share it. See what happens, see where it comes from. Being strategic is very important, but don't wait for those things, and definitely don't wait until somebody gives you a wad of cash before you begin. That's going to see you nowhere. In fact, you might see someone else build your idea. So here's what I need you to do. Your call to action today is I want you to sit back and think, okay, I'm not going to have a get mentality. I'm not going to think about somebody giving me money to go and run my business. I'm going to think, what can I give? You know, what is the highest value proposition I can possibly offer right now in the market? What's different from what's already out there? Maybe if there's a bunch of competitors, which are a good thing to have in the marketplace. What mindset do I need to change? Am I really in a scarcity mindset, thinking that, oh God, if I don't get the money, people are going to think I'm foolish and I'm not worthy of this idea? I really want you to examine where you're at and where you think, because I believe that you're great. I believe that you have some real power, possibilities, and potentials within you. We just screw it up when we try to think too complicated about this stuff. I mean, look, you will learn as you go. You will learn as you grow. You don't need to have the knowledge that I'm telling you about all these levels. They don't really matter. You need to understand them to an extent, but they're not the things that are going to stop you, and they're certainly not going to hold you back if you do it the right way. Look, this is Vaughan Liddicoat. I want to thank you for taking time out. Make sure you stay tuned for the next video where I'm going to bring you the next myth in this series. In the meantime, enjoy, and I hope this serves you.